You guys, I'm really confused, so maybe you can help me out. How bad exactly am I supposed to feel for government employees losing their jobs in this new administration or having to justify their jobs in front of 25-year-old kids that Elon Musk has brought in? Exactly how bad am I supposed to feel?
Can you tell us what your message is to these senators while we're walking?
I think it's really cruel to fire people for poor performance when they've only had great feedback. We've never had an issue with our performance, and we're doing work for the American public. We're here for safety, and we're patriots. We love our country. That's why we're taking these jobs that don't pay us in the private sector.
I've already appealed. I'm gonna fight for my job back. I took an oath of office to fight for this administration. And although I don't agree what's happening or what's going on, please, I don't want to hear the negative stuff. I don't want to hear it. We're going through it right now. All us government, all us federal employees are going through it. So the negative stuff, it doesn't help. This sucks.
This is the perfect kind of example of a Trump supporter that I will not support and I will not meet halfway. Because this is someone who wants to skip the step of accountability. She voted for this man. She lost her job because she voted for this man. Yet she says she still supports this administration and wants to get her job back. She wants all of us to feel sorry for her that she lost her job. For all of us that said that this was going to happen, that warned her, to feel bad for her and skip the step of saying, hey, you did this. You're the cause of it. Now you have to deal with the consequences. No, she wants us all just to skip that part and just feel bad for her. She has not learned anything. She has not learned how her vote has caused her to lose her job, and she would rather have us feel bad for her than have us say to her, this is what you did, take some accountability, take some responsibility. She only speaks about how she's appealing for her job. Screw all the thousands of people that also lost their job right along with her, whether they voted for him or didn't vote for them. How is she fighting back for those people? This is the type of person that I say, you effed around and now you're finding out. And you deserve it. You deserve exactly what's happening to you. I don't know. What do you guys think? All my love.
So go watch the full video. I'm tagging the creator below who created that stitch. Definitely worth a look. Long story short, that is a Trump supporter, Trump voter, who is also a federal employee who now has no job because of the person that she voted for. And I just wanted to hit on this misconception that this young woman apparently has. She says, I took an oath to defend this administration. No, you didn't. No federal oath is specific to an administration. The oath that you took was to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. That's your federal oath. The fact that and I'm sure she does, absolutely believes that she has sworn fealty to this administration is a fucking problem. And yeah, it's hard to feel sorry for that. Or, on the other hand, did she recently swear some new oath to the administration? Because I haven't heard about that. That would be an even bigger problem.
Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Robi Masaga. Today I want us to talk about something that is making waves on social media. White women crying after losing their federal jobs. The layoffs have hit and suddenly reality is setting in for them. Now, don't get me wrong, losing a job is tough and I don't wish hardship on anyone, but the way some of these women are reacting makes it clear that they never thought they would be in this position. And that is where the conversation gets interesting. Because when people of color struggle with job loss, we don't get the same level of sympathy. Instead, we hear things like, work harder, maybe you should have saved more, or just pull yourself up by the bootstraps. So today we are going to break this all down, why these layoffs are happening, how people are reacting, and why this moment exposes a bigger conversation about privilege and job market.
All the people that are losing their jobs in the federal government, there are going to be so many more implications than just them losing their jobs. And that's enough. I mean, I live in the Washington, D.C. area, and I know a lot of people that it's affecting, and it's just so sad. And I know other areas of the country that have a lot of federal workers concentrated in those areas are going to have the same thing. But what maybe people aren't thinking about yet is that areas that have a lot of federal workers, their economies in that area are going to be affected meaning those people that have lost their jobs. They're not going to be able to pay their mortgages. They're not going to be able to pay their rent. They're not going to be able to pay their credit card bills. You know, if their kids go to private school, they're not going to be able to pay that either. So what's going to happen is the real estate market's going to bottom out. And so, you know, that's going to affect the whole real estate market. So people are going to start moving out. People aren't going to be able to buy things on Amazon. People aren't going to be able to shop at Whole Foods. So it could affect some billionaires out there, if you get my gist. People aren't going to be able to go out to restaurants. It's going to affect the economy in that way. And when it comes tax time, because they've gotten rid of all these IRS workers, you're not going to get your refund that fast. And, you know, if they're cutting all these other people from different services, whether it's the Social Security area or Medicaid, whatever, if you get services from those areas, you might not be able to get a hold of people as easily. You might not have been able to get a hold of them as easily anyway, but now it's going to be even more difficult. This is going to have a ripple effect, and it's going to affect many people. Whether you're a federal worker or not, it's going to touch you in some way. And this is going to affect the economy. Whether you're in an area that has federal workers or whether you're not. Because it's going to be a ripple effect. Because, like, for example, people can't, like, everybody that's losing jobs, they're not going to be able to buy cars. And then with the tariffs, it's going to be even harder to buy a car anyway. So the automotive industry is going to get hit harder. And now all these federal workers, they're not going to be able to go on vacation. So the travel industry is going to get hit. This is going to affect every single part of our economy. Simple as that.
All right, so bear with me. I know that people are going through things. I know what layoffs feel like. I've been through them multiple times in my life. Anybody that's been in the personal, private sector, the job market that wasn't protected by taxpayer dollars and the federal government knows what a layoff feels like. Under no circumstances that I ever see any of my superiors, my bosses, my managers, or anything like that ever, oh my God, never did I see any of them fall to their knees and weep over my dismissal. Firing, layoff, no matter what you want to frame it as, I've never experienced that in my entire life. So maybe it's true. Maybe they were so connected and they were so much family that they fell to their knees and they wept. But it sounds like a little bit of embellishment on that.
The government has been making budget cuts, shifting priorities, and let's be honest, politics plays a role in everything. Some of these women are now realizing that the same system they benefited from are now turning against them. A lot of them were in stable government jobs, positions that have historically been safer than private sectors. But nothing is permanent, and now they are feeling what so many others have felt for years. Now, what's even more interesting is the blame game. Many of these women are pointing fingers at Trump, saying his policies led to their layoffs. But here's where it gets tricky. Some of these women either voted for Trump or stayed silent when his policies affected other groups. But now that the consequences have landed on their doorstep, suddenly they want to talk about how unfair it is. Here's the part that really gets me. When black and brown people were being disproportionately laid off, struggling to get hired, or dealing with workplace discrimination, what was the response? Just work harder. Maybe you should have chosen a better career. Stop complaining and be grateful. We've seen this time and time again. Whenever marginalized communities face hardship, the expectation is that they should toughen up and deal with it. But now that white women are feeling the pressure, suddenly they're crying on TikTok, making emotional videos and asking for support. Let's take a step back and be real. Black people, especially black women, have been the backbone of workforce while being underpaid, overlooked, and the first to be let go during economic downturns. Some of these white women thought they were untouchable, but the reality is hitting them in the face. Now, let's zoom out a little and look at history. For decades, government jobs have been a safety net for white workers, especially white women. Federal and state jobs have offered stability, good salaries, and benefits. Meanwhile, black and brown communities have had a harder time accessing these positions due to systemic racism in hiring, workplace discrimination, and lack of connections. Let's not forget, there was a time when federal jobs were pretty much reserved for white people. Even when discrimination law changed, it didn't mean the playing field was suddenly equal. White women in particular benefited from affirmative action policies more than black people did. And now, the very security they enjoyed is slipping away. For a long time, white women have also dominated HR roles and hiring positions, meaning they had a hand in deciding who got through the door and who didn't. Now that they are losing those positions, who's going to fight for them? Because let's be honest, when they were in power, they weren't exactly fighting for black and brown workers. And this isn't just about the federal government. Look at major companies across the US. Whenever there are mass layoffs, who gets let go first? It's almost always the black and brown employees, followed by lower level white workers. But now, because these layoffs are hitting white women in significant numbers, we are suddenly supposed to have a national conversation about job loss and economic hardship. Now, here is the part that makes me shake my head. A lot of these women are now angry at Trump for what's happening. And while some of them might not have supported him, let's not ignore that many did. Or at least they stayed silent when his policies were affecting others. This is the same Trump who has been making cuts to government programs, pushing for policies that hurt the working class and prioritizing the wealthy. But some of these same women were fine with it until it affected them. Where was the outrage when black and brown people were losing jobs due to his policies? Where was the sympathy when families were struggling because of economic shifts under his administration? Now suddenly it's a crisis. This is why people say privilege blinds you, because as long as things are good for you, you don't see the problem. But the second it hits home, it's a different story. So what can we learn from all this? No job is guaranteed. No matter how secure you think your position is, policies and economic changes can shake everything up. Black and brown communities have been dealing with this for years. If anything, this moment should be a wake-up call to recognize how hard others have had it, instead of just focusing on the fact that it's now affecting white women. This is a lesson in privilege. A lot of these women never thought they would be in this position, which is why the reaction is so intense. But reality is showing them that they were never as safe as they assumed. People need to keep the same energy. If we are going to talk about job loss, let's talk about all the times marginalized communities suffered without support. At the end of the day, job loss is never fun, but the way some of these women are reacting is exposing a much bigger conversation about privilege, double standard, and who gets sympathy. When black and brown folks struggle, they are expected to deal with it. But now that white women are feeling the heat, it's suddenly a tragedy. Anyway, guys, what do you all think? Do you feel bad for them? Or is this just a wake-up call that they needed? Let me know in the comments, and also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye.